Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Graham with RCGroups.com. You've reached another very special RC Groups live broadcast. You know, guys, I kind of renamed this. I called it the, what did I call it? Let me go look.
Man, I don't even know. What did you call this?
Well, the concept here is it's a video podcast because that's essentially what's going on. We used to do the audio podcast. And so this is basically the audio podcast, except now you can see what we're talking about. And I actually have a couple of things behind me to discuss today. Flew the Theory Type W. Jason flew it as well. I got a cool thing from Hobby King that no one has seen before except in pictures. I don't know that there's any. Well, there is a video of the original unit, so we can take a look at this. I can tell you, well, we'll talk about it in a minute. Hosting the show with us today is Mr. Matticus Gunnicus. Nice hat, Matt.
Hey, thanks, man. I picked this one out myself.
Let's discuss that later, and let's discuss the other crazy Flying Giants thing you have to show the users today.
What might that be?
Let's just use one word, funky.
Oh, you mean the other hat?
Yeah.
I don't have it with me.
You better go get it, man.
Okay, I can go get it. I know exactly where it is. So if you guys will talk amongst yourselves
for the short break, brought to you by FlyingGiants.com.
And of course, Jason Cole is back with us from competing at a wing race last week. We would have gone live last week, but Jason was on the road, and I didn't think it was be good not to have Jason on the show, especially it was kind of a slow week. There was really nothing brand new to discuss, but I think we have plenty of things to discuss this week. Jason, what's happening?
Not much, man. I'm still healing from fire ant wounds that ravaged my leg at the DLG contest in Florida 2 weeks ago.
I have to say, growing up in Texas, amongst fire ants and fighting fire ants a lot, it was kind of a side job for me. I never have been bitten, so I guess that's a real problem.
So I'd call that the top tip of the week, guys. If you're out there flying DLGs or gliders, or you're in a big grass field, and look around where you're standing before you just stand in a big ant pile and they just tear you to pieces.
And it's
pretty bad.
That was a week ago. It's still giving you trouble.
Oh, it's gonna. They last about 3 weeks, maybe a little less, but yeah. And then the first week and a half or so, it's just nothing but itching and scratching and pain and just you're hating life.
You know, fire ants are an invasive species. They are not native to North America. They were brought over. I heard they were brought over on the what is it with the Pilgrims? No, I'm just kidding. But yes, they are. They are not from the United States. They're not locals.
Yeah, I remember when there were not fire ants.
You know, I thought that if you get it once, like you don't do it again, right? So I did it at the pecan patch a couple years ago. Barefoot stepped in one and just got destroyed. And I figured that'll never happen again, right? And it happened again 2 weeks ago. But it didn't happen in Florida again last week at the CFL FPV event, the Central Florida first-person video showdown. I was there. I didn't get any ant bites because I was careful.
Well, let's talk about that, Jason. Why don't you grab the story, the feature article that you did, and then we could cut over to that, and then you could talk about the photos and maybe look at some video.
Boom.
So for everyone who is, and I'm sure if you're watching live, you know this, but we have channel pages on RC Groups, and channel pages feature different aspects of the hobby. This is a feature article Jason wrote.
I'm gonna present to everyone right now. There you go.
And so I found out last time we did this, we talked about moderation a little bit, and I got a lot of feedback on that where people said, thank you for addressing this and bringing this up. And I was like, wow, so maybe these are things we should talk about. So let's talk about this. This is a story created by an RC Groups editor, and it's featured on the homepage, Facebook, and all these other places. But without further ado, Jason, tell us about how awesome this show was.
Yeah, so this was so much fun. So you can see the main photo here. There's that's probably the majority of the guys that were there. I'm sure there's more that weren't in this photograph, but I didn't get a pilot count, but that's a good amount, especially for an FPV event, with limited channels available and that kind of thing. But man, really good turnout. This was the 6th annual. They started out 6 years ago, just a couple of guys that just wanted to get together and fly FPV and have a good time doing it. And it turned into this event, which now has full-on sponsor support. This one, the big primary sponsor was Ready Made RC this year. So it was cool to see those guys down there. But basically, it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4-day event. And Thursday, everybody's kind of rolling in and getting set up and ready. And there's a couple of events that go on. So there's just open flying times where you get a time slot for your frequency, and you can fly all you want, just free fly, do whatever. And then they have events that they throw in. And on Thursday, they had a limbo. Now, I was traveling this day, so I didn't get to see that. But I heard it was pretty awesome, where they were talking about how the quad guys they got the bar so low that they literally couldn't fly through it anymore. And they had to judge the challenge based on who got through it, and basically crash rolled the farthest.
They were forcing themselves through the limbo.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy sounding. So that's cool. And then they had a tiny whoop race that night in the big giant gazebo tent. Kind of see some of the pictures.
I'm so amazed at how we can justify a hobby where we have 2 giant antennas coming out of our heads.
Yeah, seriously.
And it's all legit.
Here's a good pic. Are you seeing this picture?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this was the big main tent. This is giant, by the way. I don't know what the dimensions are, but it's massive. And so they had tiny whoop racing in there at night. And basically, this is wide open. We've got all of these gates. We had 3 courses. Are you seeing my mouse move around?
We are.
Okay, cool. So there was basically 3 race courses set up on here. There's a quad course kind of right in here in front of the tent. And then all these little flags out here were for a spec wing class from the FPVWRA. Mm-hmm. And so they race kind of this. You can kind of see the outline here. They would shoot a gate here, do an Immelman, go around this one, go around this, slalom here, do a 270-degree turn here, and then a 90-degree turn and back to the start. And so that was the spec class, which I didn't race in because I don't have a spec racer. And then we had the sportsman's class, which is the bigger, faster. So we had this big race course. This right here was a giant, like, those dudes that you see at auto parts stores where they're flumming around, blowing around. They basically used 2 gas weed eaters, or gas engine blowers, sorry. Mm-hmm. And they blew these things up and made a giant gate arch.
Wacky, waveable, inflatable, arm flailing.
Yeah, so it's like that, but it's just a big arch. And so they used gas-powered blowers to blow it up and make it stiff, and it was pretty cool. So we'd come down at the start. They did a sailboat start for the races, where it was like you count down from 10, and you kind of have to circle, and then you want to shoot and not pass the start line before. Yeah. Right. So you basically come out of here, do a big Immelman, and then you race around here and you do a hard right, and then you got to do a left between this tree. There's 3 flags here and a giant tree line. It was extremely tight. So you either went really high above the trees, or you got down low and you just yanked that really hard around the trees. There's a flag right here. You had to come on the left side of that, and then slalom through on the right, slalom through on the left, around this big turn, all the way down this straight, around this flag, 180 degrees, and then back through the start gate. Really cool, fun courses. And the races got started up on Friday. So we had qualifying rounds for both spec and sport. And you got to race 2 times on Friday, 1 time Saturday morning for a qualifier. And then they took basically the top 8 or 9, was it, I think. They did a point system. So whoever had that top finishing places went to the final round that took place on Saturday as well. And I was in there. I ended up in 5th place overall, I think.
Congratulations.
I was actually flying my Banshee on 4S for the qualifying rounds, for 2 of the qualifying rounds. The 3rd qualifying round, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try the Wyvern, because the course looks really, really tight for the Wyvern. It doesn't like to turn extremely fast. It's more of a super high speed, distance runner. But I was able to do it, and you can just figure it out and run the course and practice, and I was able to do it. And so we get into the final battle, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to give these guys a run for their money. About 30 seconds before we were supposed to launch, I looked, and the guy was like, check your control surfaces, and I moved my surfaces and looked at him waggling, but my right aileron was up at a 45-degree angle.
Ah, sabotage.
No, that's not right. What the heck? So I look at it, and my push rod is basically a carbon fiber push rod, and it's got a metal piece of music wire that comes out to attaches to the servo horn, and it had bent where that meets the carbon push rod. I don't know what happened, if like somebody kicked it, or I don't know exactly how it happened. One of my fins was broken and cracked too, I noticed upon this inspection. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I bent that wire back, made sure it was safe, got it close, to where I thought it was neutral. Took off. It was completely out of trim. So I'm sitting there trimming in the few seconds I have before the countdown, and I get it close enough. The countdown's coming. I line up. I'm running through. I go full throttle. I rip through the gate right on time. Pull up into an Immelman, and instead of it doing a half loop and a half roll, it did some kind of snap maneuver that I couldn't even tell you what it was, and I ended up facing the other direction. And so I was like, "Dang it!" So I had to like catch up and do some major, major cutting gates as hard as I could and tight as I could, and I ended up catching up and making 5th place. But it was just so much fun. So these races, most people don't crash. So you basically have all 4 to 8 or 9 pilots up in the air at one time. They sound cool. The action is tight.
Are there any more pictures we can look at?
Oh, yeah. How about that? You guys are looking at my screen. So let's see what I can show you.
Maybe start at the top and just
just start rolling through.
Well, okay. So we had Ready Made RC. I told you about. They had a booth. They were selling. I think they sold out of these planes very fast. They had stuff showing off.
I've got one right here.
There you go. Alex had a new indoor. He calls this the tiny whoop of airplanes. So this is tiny little super slow flyers.
Cashing in on the trends.
Fly through
Let me
gates.
say, in this hobby where things are not cool in 6 months, that tiny whoop has had some staying power.
Yeah, it has. So
got
those
some
are his
legs.
gremlins, huh? He's got the gremlin triplane and biplane. That's interesting.
So Right Wing was there. Chris Click was there. This is Shelby Vol, if you guys know Shelby. Sponsored pilot. He's making a big splash in the wing world here, and he ended up winning the sport class and coming in a top place in the spec. I don't remember exactly which. But
so do you want to go into detail about how all that operated?
Yeah, I'll get to it in a minute. But this wing he's holding here is a new plane from Right Wing called the Hardcore 44, and it's really, really nice. It's got these fins. It's got a lot of fins, but it's got these extra long ones in the back. And he says it just helps the stability so much in wind. And then when you go through a turn, the nose doesn't fall off towards the ground. It actually
it
holds
just
like
stays
a
on its
edge.
rail.
It allows you to carve it. I think Shelby said
click on that photo?
Which one?
The one with
Any
the
of 'em.
fins?
Any of them. So Shelby said this reminds him of it's like going from analog to digital. It's like flying a mini quad almost, where it goes where you point it and stays there. And so he was like really happy with it, thought it was awesome. I think they're going to be available like in a week or so. Chris said we're going to work together. Maybe he can send me one for review, and I can show you guys some more of that. But it's kind of cool. It's got a 3D printed motor mount. You can see right there.
Oh, you mean camera mount?
Yeah, camera mount. Sorry, yeah. And so you can easily access that, and it's well protected, but not blocking any of view.
That's a nice little
really
piece.
Cool plane. It's got a electronics bay. You can put a micro vector in there if you wanted. It's got a pretty big battery tray with these little thumb screws.
Yep,
on
that's
either side that you
his
can
style.
access. So it's a very nice plane. There's a couple different sizes and versions of it, but pretty neat. Here's a closer view. You can see more of the gates and flags that were put up. Tried to get some RCG flags out there, but all of this was done by the time I got there and set up. But the guys are great. They welcomed me, and said, let's go have a ball. We got a big dinner Saturday night. This is everybody at the awards presentation for all the winners. But so Jim, you mentioned some of the stuff that happened at the wing race. There's Scully getting instead of cool Gatorade being dunked on him, it was a box of props.
Dude, this is so nerdcore.
But so the wing racing, this was the second race for the FPV WRA, and there's some growing pains and things and issues you got to sort through. And some of the things that happened were, like Alex and myself weren't flying on 5.8. I was on 1.3. He was on 2.4. And nobody had the ability to DVR and record our footages to play back and verify anything. And you missed gates or not, or missed a flag or cut a turn short or whatever. So
growing pains indeed, but
growing pains, but
doesn't sound too bad.
And, we have a wattage limit, so you can only have 850 watt power system. And then so we had a tech inspection prior to anybody ever racing. I was actually over on my 5.5 prop, and I had to cut it down on my Wyvern I actually changed it out to a 5x4.5 and was able to make tech inspection. And apparently everybody else made it, and then we raced. And then after the finals, they took the top 4 and said, we're going to re-tech inspect you with what you were just running. And ended up being the guy that won, Tyler from Stone Blue Airlines, won by a pretty good margin. But he ended up being like 120 watts or something over the limit. And then so they DQ'd him. So He basically got knocked out of first place and got a disqualification. And then Shelby, who came in second place, was still over the limit, but only by like 20 watts. So they were like, you know what, we're just going to call that okay. Maybe there's a margin of error that they're estimating. I'm not sure. But anyway.
Let's jump out of your photos and look at your head now, Chase.
Okay, well, how do I do that? Stop sharing?
Yeah, stop sharing.
Is that working? There we go. So Shelby ended up winning. And as at the end of the race, we went and looked back, and they were trying to determine who actually, won. They were seeing the order. So they were reviewing the DVR footage of all the guys. And Tom Scully from Tom Scully MC, he's got a really great system that they use at all the mini quad drone races.
Joe Scully?
Joe Scully.
You said Tom Scully.
Joe Scully. Tom Scully is a DLG pilot who I was hanging out with the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so Joe Scully was there. So he's got his whole system with the whole Quadversity set up. He's got the monitors with all of the footage, all the 8 squares or whatever, all the channels, so everybody can come watch. But they can also review the DVR playback right there. And so as they were reviewing the playback, we noticed Shelby was missing the last flag on the last turn. He was cutting on the inside of it and hitting the other flag, which was a different turn. It was basically the first turn of the race. But it was pretty similar distance. But he wasn't. It is actually shorter the way he was going. So they didn't DQ him for that. They basically said, "Look, we don't have time right now. We don't have everybody's footage to review. We can't. We're just gonna forget the gates for right now. There's no money on the line. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But anyway, so there's some issues. So we got to have some more clear rules on the power ratings. I think we should up the rating from 850 to 1,000 to make sure everybody can get in it on the most popular systems that are out there. And then we've got to be able to have a way to review back the flights and make sure that nobody cut or missed, and start assigning penalties, whether it's 3 seconds for a missed flag or something. Or what was supposed to happen was the spotters was supposed to tell you if you missed a turn or not, and you're supposed to go back around and hit it. It's a little bit harder to do with wings than quads with gates, right? Gates are a lot easier to know if you actually hit it or not. Where a flag, it's hard to tell if you went around it or not. If you're way up in the air or right near it, it can just be different. So I think it's exciting. I absolutely love it. I want to do more of it. I think everybody should give it a try for sure. But I'm looking forward to getting more fleshed out with just some of the rules and how it's organized and everything. But it's a good first couple of starts, and I think it's just going to grow from here. Oh, and I have one more thing to talk about at the show, besides it being awesome. And one of the last events we did was an FPV drag race.
How does that work?
I've never seen anybody do this before. Basically, did it with quads, and then they did it with planes. And I flew it with my Durafly EF Extra with the FPV pod on it. And basically, they use firecrackers, big cherry bombs. And so they would say, pilots, thumbs down, goggles up. Or goggles down, thumbs up in less than 5, and then they would light a cherry bomb. And as soon as you would rev up your motor, and as soon as the cherry bomb blew, the guys would launch the planes, and the quads would take off. Basically, there was 2 lanes left and right, and you'd go down. I don't know what the distance was, but it was out of the field and into the next field. There was like 2 sets of flags, and you had to go past the flags. You could do a flip around turn, you could do an implement, however you wanted to get back. But it's basically down and back. And there was a gate line, and that was the finish line right in front of everybody, front and center. And it was so much fun. The quads were actually pretty dang quick, man. Some of these guys build some beasts of quads.
Is there any video on that? Because it sounds awesome.
Well, there might be some DVR footage of me. Anyway, here's all that's left of my Durafly EF Extra after the final semifinal round of the race. So if for the guys just listening to this, I'm basically holding up a motor mount, part of a cowl, and a half broken prop and a spinner.
That is not much.
This is all I have left from that airplane.
Not even much of a prop.
I was going up against Jeremiah from Stobel Airlines, and he had a Fun Jet. And those things are super fast, right? So we clocked my EF Extra at 134 miles per hour the day before. So still stinking fast, but the Fun Jets are hitting 150, 160, crazy fast. So we go out, and everybody's like, holy crap, this is a tight race. We blow through the turn. We're coming back in, and I see him push out in front of me, and I'm like, I'm trying to eke out every little bit of mile per hour I can get out of this thing. I push the nose down just to try to get back gain a little bit
Right.
of speed. And I don't know if there's lag in the video feed enough, but somehow all of a sudden my screen just went black and everybody just went nuts. And I knew what had happened. I hit the ground, and they said I hit the ground like a skip, but they said it hit the wingtip and then just exploded into parts all over
Good
the
stuff.
field.
There's got to be a video of that.
So I stood up and was like, yeah! Everybody was going nuts over that. It was the most spectacular thing to see right at Show Center with everybody watching. But I love that airplane. I miss it. I'm going to have to get another one. So rest in peace, EF Extra.
Rest in pieces.
Seriously.
Yeah, man. All right. That's all I got.
So we have an event coming up, y'all. Well, we have 3 events, but right now we're going to talk about Joe Nall 2017. Are you?
Can't wait, man.
Everybody ready?
Yes.
You got your tent ready, Matt Gunn?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's sitting in my garage, but I got to put it on the roof of my truck. Yeah, it will be ready.
So
I'm going to get an awesome camping spot this year. I'm going to love it and live there for a week in my tent.
Date is May 13th through the 20th. Gates open Friday at 5 p.m. Don't think you're going to get in early because you're not. You might actually get to see the lovely Miss Ashley at the event.
Which one is she in that picture?
Yeah, she's. I believe this is a German team, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's
And
good.
then in this article, which I made a couple hours ago, I wanted to give the information on the show, but also kind of give the flavor of the event. So I always get my favorite shots of the year at Joe Nall almost every year. There's a Joe Nall video here.
That's
I don't
Jason
know.
made that one.
Jason, did you pick this or did I? The guys, but
Womp, 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 womp.
You got a sex appeal, man. It works. It sells video views.
and then I was. This is before I think either one of you were on, but I was leaving and making my final drive around the field, and I saw this kid riding around. Look at his head; he's got a canopy on his head.
Nice.
He's riding around the 3D fire pit. And
That one became famous. That picture is out there.
Yeah, that's like my favorite shot. And so anyway, there's Miss Kim, and then there's Miss Ashley.
Where? Oh, there you are. Hey, there's somebody taking photos.
And there's Maticus Gunnicus giving away shirts.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think this look is on Ashley's face?
Well, hey, y'all. Well, cotton picking, tootin', rootin', something. I don't know.
Something must be happening because he's grinning.
I think she's going, well, kiss my grits.
Kiss my grits. Hey, we're the same age.
Yeah.
So anyway, Joe Nall's coming. I say in the first paragraph, it's the Super Bowl of RC. You have to go.
Gotta love that big old. Is that a that triplane? Is that what's his face's Bill Hempels?
I think it is because in the video down here you can see wheel it out. It's like almost more than 50% scale. I should know this, and I feel bad that I don't. Why is there an axe handle under the airframe?
To prevent the wingtips from touching when it.
Oh, that's on a wingtip. It's not under. Gotcha.
There's one out on each. I think it was a German thing. They would just put the axe handles on there.
That's good.
Yeah. They also had wooden tail draggers on them that were fixed. So the original, I think you'll still see some models out there. They bring them out there all the time, and they launch them if there's a slight quartering headwind or anything like that, and they're trying to take these triplanes off with a fixed wooden tail skid. It just makes for excitement. It's like Benny Hill. I mean, I want to literally play the Benny Hill song as I watch these guys try to take off. So
I have one thing to
can't
show.
Wait, man. I'm so excited.
I'm pretty excited about this. I'm going to share this. Clicking on my screen. All right, we're at the Joe Nall site. Of course, this is where you can find all the information you need to know to register.
Do you see this, Jason? I only see his image.
Are you seeing my screen, Jason?
I see the Joe Nall screen. And
Okay.
it's showing up on the live.
I see it now. I apologize.
All right. So you can go here and rent your golf carts and get your camping taken care of and all that stuff. But now, scrolling up. What?
Scrolling down.
Scrolling down, whatever.
Inside joke.
Access the event coverage of RC Groups and Flying Giants from the Joe Nall page.
Wow, those are nice little graphics.
Boy, whoever made those graphics, that guy is a genius.
Yeah.
Matt Gunn made those graphics just this morning. Thanks to Mark and Mike and the whole Joe Nall crew. As you may or may not know, we all, the whole RC Groups crew, head out to Joe Nall and cover it hard every day. And I'm talking up and early and out and back and posting and
As
writing.
long as it takes for me to make my coffee first thing in the morning is how long it takes for me to get started.
So Matt, you're going to be tent camping. We're bringing Mean Joe Vermillion with us. Is Mean Joe in the live chat?
No, he's not. I don't know where he is.
We're bringing Mean Joe with us. He's going to be out there running around too. And then the lovely Miss Ashley, and we will be doing what we do.
Nikolai should be there as well. We hope.
Nikolai, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nikolai. I haven't seen any Nikolai reviews coming out lately. Is Nikolai busy?
Yeah, he's studying. He was studying for something for what? So he's got a new house. So he's got all those new house blues where it turns his pockets inside out as he has to fix everything. Then he's got he's studying for some sort of IT thing, and he's still working hard. I know he's got the ARS 300 review coming out pretty soon from AJ.
Hey, I saw a post in the chat about us not having a video for 3 weeks. So we have moved to a once a month live show. And the only reasoning behind this is we actually were running out of stuff to talk about every week.
It's true. We can only discuss our RC lifestyles so long until we run out of stuff to talk about.
We never ran out of things to say, but we were saying the same things over and over, I think. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I think once a month is, we should be more RC related content, more feature packed per show now. Yeah.
Hey, everyone. So you've seen this in previous. I had it. I built it. I talked about it. So Jason took it out and flew it. And then after that, Jason was gone and I wanted some more FPV video. So I went out. The field was full of people I knew. So I had spotters. But I really got to test out flying this thing in the goggles. And I really want to say that there is a launch switch that you can utilize that comes stock with the AS3X inside of this young lady right there. And that dang launch switch came in handy almost every time I threw it. So if you throw it and it's like, whoa, 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 it'll smooth out and then you just hit the throttle and away it goes. It's awesome.
Yep. I love doing that. It makes life easier with those Horizon Hobby products.
I also want to say that usually a plane like this, I'll say, it'd be awesome if it had this or if it did that. And I have none of those things to say about that, about this bird. I like the power system. I like the way it flies. There's nothing about the flight characteristic that makes me want to go hunt for something better. The camera, the FOV on this is a little narrow for me, so I might go with a different camera. Just that's my personal.
You can just swap out the lens there, man.
Yeah.
$2 and change out that lens.
Looks like that camera's set a little far back though. You might start getting the sides of the.
I agree.
That is a wide angle lens though.
So it's just for me, it's the only complaint I have, and it's a me personal thing. The other thing is when I jammed on the throttle, the nose would lift up, and then I would lose view of just about everything.
Yeah, you can trim that out.
So
you could, if you were really so inclined and you wanted to spend the time doing it, you could trim that out, I guess. But you can only, apparently with that rig, I mean, you might be able to set the CG a little better and get it to where it doesn't do that.
Right.
But with that rig, you would probably trim it for a specific wide open throttle when you're racing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one thing I'll say is this is a racing wing, but I reviewed it for the guy that just wants an FPV rig that's RTF and has everything on board and flies great. And this is that exact thing. Flies great, launches great. It can land by itself. You literally can put it in the launch mode and throttle down, and it will land if you have enough clear area. And the motor is super powerful. One thing I will say is the first time I threw it, I thought it was stuck in full throttle, which that doesn't happen in electrics, but I'm come from a world of glow 2-strokes. And I really thought it was stuck at full throttle because it was just hauling. And I was at 0 throttle, and then it has a mic on the camera, so I went wing wing, and I was like, nope, your motor's fine. This thing just loves to fly. So it
was that fast. It was literally gliding so fast you thought you were wide open.
I was ripping across the field.
Is a statement.
One side to the other, 0 throttle, and I was like, "There's no way this thing's it should be coming down, not going out to the other side of the field." So it likes to fly. Jim T. Graham says this thing's awesome.
Heck yeah. Well, now you've got my Manta coming to you. You're not going to want to fly it.
We'll see. It's bigger, right?
It is bigger. It launches the same. It's got the same auto launch. You just throw it and power up once it leaves your hands, and it just flies slightly up at about a 5-degree angle and keeps climbing until you switch that off and start flying it.
I love that it's bigger and it's just another knife in the drawer. You know,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So there will be a full review on this. It's actually finished and it's being tweaked right now. So there'll be a full review
to put it.
with we'll talk about the launch. Jason Cole talks about why the launch feature is awesome, and you get to see how fast it goes. Jason, I thought it went faster than I really expected. What about you?
It's kind of deceiving when you're at partial to half throttle. Like, it doesn't seem like it's that fast, and the motor's pretty small looking, but it's such a lightweight wing, you know. But once you pour the coals to it, it surprised me the first time I did it. I didn't expect it to be that fast.
Yeah, it's pretty docile. And that's the other good part is that it doesn't drop a wing. You can slow it. I mean, I was trying to get under a thing in the video and I slowed it down, and I slowed it so down, I literally landed on the grass. So some airplanes, you get them too slow and you're just going to drop a wing and roll it, you know, and this thing does not drop a wing.
That's it's got that good alpha characteristics to it. It doesn't want to tip over. It just wants to mush itself in. So, hey, look what I got. See this building here? This is the ready-made Strato Surfer.
Yes.
So we got a nice install going on in there. Look at the micro vector in its home. Is that a nice place for this little guy or what?
Cool.
Isn't that nice? So I got the micro vector in there. I've been doing a lot of soldering. I got the wiring harnesses all built. But this is nice too. So this is the V2 GPS from Eagle Tree, and it fits perfectly on the back. Now you can see where I cut that hole there because it has that hole in the front. Now this would be a good place for a VTX, but I didn't want to put my VTX back here. I'll put the VTX on top of the wing, right in the center of the fuselage. It's a good spot, keeps it out of the way, get away from your VTX and your dirty
right ESC motor.
Yeah, all that good stuff. So here's something I made. You guys might like this. I cut this hole out right there in the front. So this is supposed to come off. And I'm always thinking of new and exciting ways to mount these cameras. All right. Well, this is the Foxeer Legend 1. And I did this exact thing on my Sky Hunter full size, which was permanently join this top piece here. As you see, it's been glued together.
Yep.
Then cut this sleeve so it's just a little bit smaller. So when you put this in here, you can push it in and it's not going anywhere. So that's permanent right there. And then I repurposed this Video Aerial Systems IB Crazy. This is one of those wrenches you use to undo the. Seriously,
yes.
So
mini quad prop wrench.
Yeah, so check it out. This goes right on top like that, and now I've got the perfect little platform that each one of them is not in each other's way. Right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So with this on here like so, let's see. We'll put that on there like that, and then we'll put this on here like so, and now we've got a nice little system. I'm not really into the pan and tilt stuff. I don't even want to do a pan. I could care less.
It's kind of begging for a pan and tilt, though.
It is. It could have been a pan and tilt, but I'm just not into it. Like, I don't really. My goal is not to look out the side and look at my wings. It's just to enjoy the view out the front and navigate to the next place. Or if I'm flying this low and fast, which I kind of want to do with it, then we'll see what. I just need to be looking straight ahead. So if I take it up, put it in fly-by-wire, and just let it fly itself, then I guess I can look around, but I'm not really into that. So there we go. Nice little setup. This thing ought to do pretty darn good. I'm getting close to a maiden.
It sure is good looking, man. I don't know why it took so long for someone to think of making the fuselage out of orange foam.
You mean orange plastic?
Orange plastic?
Yeah, this is plastic. This whole thing is injection molded plastic. Look at that.
I did not know that.
When I first saw it, I was like, it looks pretty interesting, but it's just another Sky Surfer with a plastic fuselage. Well, I guess that's not really the case. It's just a completely different bird aside from the pusher look to it. So it's very durable, still lightweight, almost
love
weighs the same as a foam version. I mean, it really, there's no added weight for this little guy. It's so thin, but still durable. If you look, let's see, you can see how thin that is right there.
Dude, you could light that from the inside and glow like a
Oh, it would
candle.
totally glow. That's a really good idea.
Awesome.
Actually. Thanks for giving me yet another freaking project to add to that.
Hey, does anyone remember when we were kids, you could go to the toy store and buy a foam plane called the Soaring Sam, and you threw it?
That's before
Do a
my
loop
time.
on you and hit you in the back of the head?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was called the Soaring Sam, but I do remember that glider when you
I
would
can't believe
hit
that
something, the wings
Foam
would fly
glider
out.
at Walmart.
popped
Yeah.
into my head. But that plane you have in your hand is exactly the same as the Soaring Sam, except FPV.
The Soaring Samuel.
I should Google that. I wonder if I can find one.
You
Hey,
just probably Google Soaring Sam, and there it is.
I'm going to do it. So, one other thing I wanted to say is we have talked about the Focal V2s, which I have a pretty large experience with this time, and I've done everything right and wrong you can do with these goggles. But one thing that I want to mention is on our YouTube channel, I have a video called Focal V2 Fat Shark Wireless Head Tracking How To.
Woo, man.
So yeah. So you can look up Focal V2 head tracking probably and find it. But head tracking on this is not easy, simple, or self-explanatory. So it was like 2 hours on one topic, and I
That
was
sounds like a how-to article to me.
yeah,
Oh, man,
yes.
we don't do those.
This predates that, by the way. But if you do want to get these working, and this will lead up to a plane behind me, if you want to have wireless head tracking and you're not getting it, go look at my video. It'll give you like 3 secrets on how to make this happen. But I'll only do this briefly. The battery, awesome. Most batteries I get with goggles, I tend to they don't work. They don't last long enough for me to ever take with me to the field. This guy is a different story. It actually works.
And it actually lasts a long time too. I've got the same one right here,
And then
and
it's got the indicator on it.
yeah, they sort of get down to about half or 3 bars, and it just stays there forever. I'm like, thank God.
Well, this will always stay on this unit. B, there's some units like this I just quit using. This is not the case on this. I like the FOV. The lenses really work with my eyes, so that's a plus. I have not used the fan, but I'm sure that'll come in handy this summer. And I got all inside of this thing, figuring out how to switch it from Fat Shark to all the different frequencies. And that's kind of tricky. If there's an aftermarket better than that,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would suggest you buy that and just get rid of this
Away
thing.
with that one. Yeah. I guess when you're dealing that's not designed for switching quickly. You know,
No.
I think it's dip switches in there, right? So
It
you
is. It's
got to
2
reference.
dips.
You got to like use an X-Acto knife to get at them.
You have to take your antennas off, and then you have to take this plastic piece off to access those. So it's not easy at all.
There's digital ones now that have a digital readout on the outside of it. and stuff.
Matt has that, but Matt says he's not a fan.
I'm not. I think I've got a bad. Mine would never land on my frequency. It would always be off by 0.5, and it would just be enough to tick me off.
Yeah.
So
Is that the Forge? Is that the one you have?
nope, I have the Furious FPV one. Yeah. They may have fixed the since it's open source, they may have updated the firmware by now, but when I had it, it was not landing ever on the correct frequency. It kind of made me mad more than
notice. It seems like the majority of especially mini quad pilots for drone racing are running Fat Sharks. And then B, the majority of those guys almost all have that digital diversity module, whichever one is the one that's the hot thing for right now. And we know that doesn't last very long.
No, hey Jim, look. Is that your Soaring Sam?
Dang, I was right. It's orange and blue and everything. Holy
yeah,
cow.
man.
I was going off an 8-year-old memory.
It's a 53-inch wingspan, can fly to over 300 feet.
That's awesome.
I begged my dad to buy that for me.
We need to get one of those and make it into an FPV plane.
You know you could do it.
Here's your Soaring Sam.
I wonder if there's one on eBay I could buy. I mean, look at it. It's an FPV plane all the way.
Yeah, it is.
looks like a great slope glider.
Well, there's some really random pictures under Soaring Sam. There's some chick smoking.
All right, everybody, look at what Stuart from Hobby King
Oi.
brought us. Just so sexy. I mean, come on.
That is one good-looking bird. Let's put it on share, Jim, so you don't look at my ugly mug.
I'm not well, I wasn't a scale fan, but I've got to say, this has been sitting in my office waiting for my attention. And when I walk by, I'm like, holy cow, this is so sexy.
Yeah, it is. And go ahead and say the interesting aspect of this. Look at that. Okay, so that
Cockpit.
Cockpit, the glass, which is acrylic.
It's like acrylic, right?
There's a reason for that. Go ahead and tell why, Jim.
So the concept, and Jason and I both, all of us have been pitching this concept of scale FPV flight. So if you're on here listening to the broadcast, you're like, oh my God, when are these guys going to quit talking about FPV and talk about flying an airplane?
I just said that last night to my wife. Just kidding.
Well, this is, I think, a hybrid of those two things, FPV and flying for real, except with this one, and I'll pull some pieces out and show it to you.
All right, here we go.
I'm pretty sure this is a mount made to sit in the back seat.
Okay, back there.
That's
looks like it probably goes behind that front seat or that rear seat.
I think you're right.
But anyway, you'll have to do some surgery. But
well, if Stuart made this, I'm betting that I don't. So, Matt, I got this in the mail 2 days ago. I'm glad that I didn't start on this yet.
Is that a pan and tilt?
It's a Fat Shark pan and tilt. So this would be what they would have on the Hobby King page.
All right, so we got a scale FPV with a full pan and tilt in the back seat, which is the correct position for a single pilot.
Right.
Fat Shark 600 TVL camera, it looks like.
And then what's going to happen is this is going to go to my receiver, and these guys are going to plug into the gear and aux 1 channel. And then where'd they go? My Fat Sharks are then going to wirelessly head track with this thing. So while I'm flying in a scale-like manner, I will be able to look around and up and down. And check this out. One more cool feature. The wing, which I partially built, has the clear piece in the top. So I don't know that I could actually, but I could look up if I wanted to.
So here's the $10,000 question. Where do they expect you, and just out of curiosity, where do they want you to mount the video transmitter?
Wherever you want.
I mean, literally, you put it wherever you want. So you could put it on the back deck. I would just be afraid that if you taped it down, you're going to pull up all the paint when you pull it off.
I too. Now, I will say
that I try to make it as
scale-like.
Yeah, I mean, like indiscreet as possible. Like just having the antenna sticking up out and not the transmitter on top of the foam in the fuselage.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's hollow back there, right? Or is it? I
don't know. You can't see back in there. I think it's a solid interior.
So I was looking, you can get, of course, the nose off, but it's all held on with screws. So it's not like something you can simply do.
Wait, there you go, Jim.
Yeah.
Okay, now can you reach back in there and stuff something?
There's a thing right here.
Is that another hatch?
It doesn't act like it's made to come off for real. So that might be something I need to call about.
Now, can you run, Jason, you can run your FPV antenna straight down without any loss in signal, or can you?
Yeah, it's basically the same.
Yeah, same donut, top and bottom. Yeah. Well, that is cool. Is it heavy, Jim? Do you think it feels like a little heavier?
It's a little heavy, but this is an established bird that people have already fallen in love with and made modifications for. Like, I think people are already modifying the landing gear.
They've now just added the acrylic to make it clear to see out of.
Yeah, so it's more a little FPV friendly and a whole new paint scheme, which is sick. And I don't use that word often. Look at that. It even has exhaust coming out of here.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Well, no, the exhaust is on the top. What is that? Is that what is that?
It's a scale thing. It's not a functioning piece.
Oh, the exhaust goes back inside and out the bottom of the cowl. I thought it was dumping out the side. Interesting.
And it's got a pretty girl.
Yep.
That's what they're fighting for back then.
Nose art, guys. It's all about the nose art.
So there is a servo hole behind the seat. I can show you. See it back there
Mhm.
behind the back seat. But this young lady is definitely made for this FPV unit. I mean, this camera unit to fit inside here.
Well, you can look. You need to go look at Stuart's video to
Yeah.
show how he has his in.
I think it's mounted over top of that, right? So that the camera is positioned in the eye level with where you would be in the back seat.
That's
Oh,
what he
see,
said when we spoke on the phone.
Yeah.
Well, it looks good, man. I'm super jealous, and I
Oh.
know that Jason has another. Jason has one
Wait, no,
coming.
don't say it. Jason. Hey, everybody. Nell Graham. Hey, Nell Graham.
Keep Chris.
Jim, I was just looking for any
Oh.
food you may have dropped.
What's
Guess
up,
what?
Raggy?
Guess what? You don't even
What?
know this, Jason.
Wow. Okay. What?
You're getting one of these.
What?
They missent. Instead of sending the T-28 to Joe, they send him a Cub. And he's like, why do I have a Cub? So Joe is sending you his Cub like mine, and we're going to be able to fly around together.
So here's the
That's cool.
I was like, when I was talking to Jim, I said, you guys really. So basically, we had.
Joe says no, he is not.
Yeah, right. So we basically had the T-28 and that what is that, L4?
Come on, man.
Yeah, and so I said, man, we really need to have the T-28 and the L4 together so we can fly tandem for the review video, get you guys flying next to each other. Well, it didn't work out that way, but it finally did because another L4 was accidentally sent. So Joe has the T-28 coming to him, if he doesn't already have it, and an L4 coming to you, Jason. So all is going to be well.
Wow,
I think it's
cool.
going to be really cool to get you guys flying.
All we have to do is not crash.
Imagine,
I think all Jim needs
that'll
to
be
do
a lot
is fly.
easier now that we could look sideways.
Jim needs to fly just straight and level, and then Jason get up on him next to him and look over at him, and then you guys can like look all around at each other.
Yeah. Last time we tried something like that, it didn't go so well.
Well, we
I
both
believe
made
in
it
you,
to
boys.
the ground.
We
made
both
it to the-
landed.
I
That's
believe in
fun.
you.
That's going to be a blast.
All you gotta do is slow down, fly nice and slow.
I'm going to put a vector in mine.
What happened
Yeah,
last
there you
time is I was in loiter, and when I jumped out of loiter to join Jason, who had landed or taken off after me, it jumped out of loiter, and then I flew straight into his camera. I guess I just went, whoa!
I'm totally going to put, I've got a full-size vector, not in anything currently, so I'm going to probably put that in it and be able to just take my hands off and look around, while it flies level.
That's
Jeez,
awesome.
That'll be
this-
fun.
A beautiful idea.
Beautimus.
All right, I got this in.
That's
Nice.
easy.
So then it would also screw in for
Those little
solidity.
Fat Shark 600 TVL cameras, they have a really nice image. I've always found that
They're not bad.
Yeah, low latency, good camera. So
I
it's
think-
like a good all-around camera. It doesn't do everything well, great. It just does everything well. So.
I think it's going to sit like that. Can you see that?
Wow, that's right
Mhm.
up there at the top.
Yeah, it's a little high. Maybe it sits not on the seat, but behind the seat. I don't know.
Maybe you push it through the bottom, like that triangle thing. I think what Jason said's right. Just see what
Yeah.
Stuart did.
Yeah.
We're gonna have it all janky.
I could have built this by now, but I kind of wanted. I'm debating on whether. I don't think it needs a build thread since this already exists
Correct.
to a high degree. But I'm going to take a few build photos as I'm going along, and then the rest will be about the FPV experience.
Because that's
So-
what everybody wants to see is that thing FPVing.
Just never owned a scale bird, and Matt Gunn and I have been doing a lot of online World War II stuff lately.
A
And
little too much. Some guy died the other day doing it. I think I'm gonna stop.
thanks for saving me, Matt. You stopped me an hour before I would have died.
So Jim,
Huh.
Jim and I play. Jim plays War Thunder, and I play World of Tanks. The similarity between these two games is uncanny, but there's just enough difference that neither one of us want to switch over to the other one's game. So we don't play together, but we play the same game, if that makes any sense. So I'm reading this article, and it says guy dies after playing video game for 24 hours straight. So naturally, I'm like, I got to read this. So I read it, and it's like a man has died after having a heart attack after playing for 23 hours straight of World of Tanks, and I'm like, holy gosh!
They said he looked tired, and I was like,
He looked
yeah, I
tired, and
guess
he
so.
went for a smoke break, and he keeled over and died. So naturally, everyone's like,
that's terrible.
no way, man. He had to have had a heart condition. I'm like, dude, World of Tanks is really, really exciting. I can see how he passed away after 24 hours. About 4 hours into it for me, and I start looking like death warmed over.
It's all the same thing as RC. You know, I'm all into, I have some super scale tanks, and
it's fun. It really is. It's something that's got my attention and your attention, and we play a lot. I've always played video games. I started back in the day playing Sierra King's Quest and Leisure Suit Larry and Police Quest and all those games. So I started in the 80s and then never stopped, ever. I'll always be playing something, whether it's World of Warcraft, Grand Theft Auto, even the flight simulators like Real Flight and Full Scale stuff. So.
Hey, we're coming up on the end of the hour. I think it's time to talk about news. And there's a lot of it. I know, because I have.
What did Trump do now?
Oh, no. We don't talk politics on the RC groups. Live video. But we do have a lot of stuff.
And most political free RC environment.
So what am I doing? I'm going to RC groups and I'm clicking on the transmitter, which gives us all the freshest stories. Hyper 10 SC, RC truck. These are pretty cool. Mac Dunn, is this what you have? Or these?
No, I have the smaller ones. I haven't shown them yet because you can actually see them in the corner down here behind me. But I have. If you'll flip back over to me just for a second, I'll just show you without taking all your glory. Flip over to me for a second.
It's on you, Matt.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Matt, Jason, do you see Matt?
No, I see your screen. And the live feed sees your screen. Oh, the live feed shows Matt, but I still see your screen. So you're
stopping.
Click out of it and click back, Jason. There you go. Okay, so I have these little tiny whoop style.
Tiny whoops, yeah.
Basically, Rise has the Fusion House Racer, and that's a little bit larger version of their version of the tiny whoop. So I got these miraculously the other day from Hobbico, and I set them up all in the house. Now this is their hoop. This gate actually goes double as high as this if you want to. And then I also have these really cool ones. Oh man, I almost ripped that off my head. That almost hurt.
I do it only like 6 times.
You're live on Matt acting like a doofus. So here's these cool things. These you can mount on a wall or on the ground. And this one is lit up. So check this out. See that?
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so I can I put those in the room, turn off all the lights.
So we're bringing these to Toledo and going to race around the hotel.
Yeah, we'll bring them to Toledo and we'll do what everyone tells us not to do, which is race around inside the lobby or something like that.
Not like tiny whoops.
I know, really. So they have feather. You can see the feather flag right there. That's the height of the feather flag, and that's literally all the gates. If you put them all together, you have a full course. So I made a course in my basement on the finish side over there, set it up all around my son's toys, all these like competitors watching along the sides, and I raced the tiny whoop, and I actually got pretty fast. I was cutting some tiny whoop hot laps with it.
We need to turn our Toledo booth into an elaborate tiny whoop course.
We would need more than
need
like
to buy
like a whole middle.
Yeah,
that's great.
Ashley can stand there with make 2 gates out of her arms and her legs.
We should pitch this to the Toledo staff about joining a bunch of empty booths and making a tiny whoop race course.
That would be totally legit, and you wouldn't even need one of those really stinking fishnet things they put up that are always so. I always get a little chuckle when I see some guy flying in a fishnet.
I'm gonna call Kim and pitch this concept to Kim of Horizon Hobby.
So anyway, let's go back to the news because I stole the show for a second.
Those were awesome. I'm like Matt, and Matt didn't answer, and so then about 20 minutes later, Matt's like, "Oh, I was working. I just got these gates in, and I had to try them out." And then he said, "I'm like, that is awesome. You're living the dream, Matt." Okay, so
something like that. I'm going to present you. All right, you're presented.
Here's some more gates. The Rise, same company.
Those are the big boy gates.
Yeah.
That's the 250 size and down gates, I think. Yep. Look at that. I love that box, I
want to get in it.
Cube.
I want to be in there. What they should have is
we should wear one around Toledo.
Yes.
Right. A gate a man could get into, but it's protected from being hit. So it could be like the person. Okay. This is interesting. This is an article that I featured from Extreme Flight on the Slick 580 EXP. This is a brand new offering from Chris and Ben and Jay Stussy. I had a lot to do with the design. People are going crazy. Let's see, 1,200 views, and it went up last night at about 9 o'clock. So
good looking bird, man. I like the big X on the back of it. That looks pretty slick.
Well, world-renowned airplane scheme designer Aaron Bates designed the scheme on that.
The honey badger designer himself.
Honey badger. We have some helicopter news,
As always,
from Neil.
Little
And talk about this, Jason. You put this up. Parachutes.
Yeah, man. I think maybe one day they'll be mandatory. I don't know, but mandatory.
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 Tandemori.
You probably have to broaden it to the field.
But yeah, I mean, it's such a simple but brilliant idea that
I think
if you have a problem, if you have something happens, something fails, you hit something, whatever, pop the chute, and it'll come down safely. So I put it at the beginning of the story, like I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, a guy was flying over a parade or a march or something, and I don't know, pilot error, I don't know what happened, but he crashed into a building, and the drone fell and hit a lady in the head and knocked her unconscious.
Wow.
So they've been doing this stuff in court, and he finally got fined. The fine was only like $500, not a financial burden for him, but he got sentenced to 30 days in jail.
Whoa.
I remember that.
So I'm like, hey, okay, so there's the whole, he shouldn't have been flying there over people, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't matter. Anything can happen. And so if you could have your drone come down at a couple miles per hour instead of falling free fall out of the sky, it's just so much safer. And they have a cool thing where it's originally set up to be a manual, trigger. So if you'd have to see something's going wrong and hit a switch.
Yeah.
But they also have, I can't remember the name of it. It's in that article, but they have a little module that you can put on, and it will auto deploy.
Oh, when you hit a certain
if it detects an anomaly in the flight or something. So
here's my question, Jason. If I recall, a few years ago, these were out of touch from the basic consumer's reach. They were like $800 a piece or something for this.
Yeah.
So what's the pricing on those? Because it's like, you can't put a price on safety, blah, blah, blah. But I think those are they're priced way up there.
No, they're nowhere near that $800 mark.
All right.
Like bucks or something.
Oh, okay.
It's well within reason. And here's what I think is going to happen. I mean, this is all third-party stuff. They basically fit the Phantom 1, 2, and 3. They're working on one for the 4. They've got big ones for the Inspires. $159 for the Mini.
Oh, that's perfect. And that's for a
like
Phantom?
a Phantom 1, Phantom 2. And then they go real big, and you can get custom stuff. You can put it on flying wings and everything. But I think eventually manufacturers like DJI are going to have these things integrated into the frame design. So it's not going to look like this big thing hanging off the side of your drone. It's going to be integrated into the design and looks of it. I think that's the future of safety. It's already required for like sport pilot planes, I believe. A lot of them you can get, BRS, ballistic.
Cirrus SR-22 has one.
Get ballistic chutes, and I think it's just smart as more and more drones are in the sky. And even if you're flying the way you're supposed to, over not anything, if there's an electronic failure or something and it takes off and goes out on its own, you can, within short order, you can be over people and property and things that you don't want it to fall on. So I think it's a great idea to have a parachute on your drone.
Speaking of that, I was out jogging the other day. I'm going to cover up the phone number here. Nabbit. I have issues with showing pictures on my phone. I saw this on a pole.
Wait a minute. Let me share this. I got it.
You snickered and took it off of me. Lost drone, dark blue. So this is on a street pole down the street from my house. Is there a reward here?
Cloud Rider 2.0?
Cloud Rider 2.0, yes, sir.
Is that a FPV rig? Is that a little racing rig?
I don't think so.
If it's got blue props, I would think that it might be
I don't know what a Cloud Rider is. I've never heard of that.
But he should be flying it around the neighborhood anyway. Also, look who I hung out with at the airfield, Mr. Mike Hines from Hobby Lobby International.
Oh my God. You know what a Cloud Rider 2.0 is?
What is it?
It's one of those little $6 Chinese drones, man.
They want it back. It's probably a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
Steve,
Probably in the creek. It's in the creek. Float down the creek.
Yeah, that kid will find it that runs up the. I don't. No, never mind. Anyway, this was sent to us by Don Chazur. Am I saying that right, Matt?
Scissor, yeah. I think so.
And so this is the Federation, the France World Championship F3P.
We had some USA guys, Devin McGrath, and some guys competing there.
And Joseph Scissor, yeah.
I got to tell you what, if you're looking for some laid back flying action,
it's so awesome. It's laid back to watch. It's extremely competitive when you're actually doing it. Look, I mean, the amount of you want to talk about flying precisely, then that is it.
It's like flying under not even water. It's like flying in jail.
Out there, though. I mean, it really shows the popularity of the sport.
Euro guys love that stuff. That's a good crowd. It took me a second to even understand what you're talking about. The crowd's all behind them.
I know they don't have crowds.
There's the crowd right there at the judge.
Speaking of Extreme Flight, there's Donatus who hangs out with the Extreme Flight crew every now and then. You might see him at Joe Nall. Gurno Brookman is
Gurno
Brookman.
He's awesome, dude. He's a cool cat. He'll be at Joe Nollicus.
So this is how he shipped it. And I got word from Don that the airport opened it up and jacked his plane up 6 ways to Sunday.
Yep.
Then put it back in and sealed it. Thanks.
Put it in backwards.
And there's the crew.
Shoved it in backwards.
Crunch.
Oh, the pain.
Also, Miss Ashley.
Those things are like crazy light. I don't know if there's any weights listed there, but unbelievably feather light.
It's amazing. So Miss Ashley went to the AMA East and covered that event, which used to be the Ram show, as I recall. These are some photos that were my favorite. That is a great picture of Ashley.
I've met that guy.
Yeah, Hoot Gibson, the astronaut, who said Ashley did have the nicest hair in RC, so that's official.
Oh, I know a couple girls that would be like, that son of a...
And there's Miss Ashley wearing R2-D2's head. Doesn't seem right.
Yeah, man.
And there's R2-D2 like getting the hell out of there before she gets a hold of his head anymore.
Yeah, she's going to do sweet potato. Cool.
All right, we'll quickly go. Hey, there's an awesome article by this guy named Matt Gunn, A Beginner's Guide to Soldering Like a Pro.
I'm telling you. That noob?
You need a new sponge.
No, man, that is the new sponge.
No, you need to get rid of the sponge and use the Hakko like mesh.
I don't like the mesh. I like
the mesh is so good.
The sponge keeps the chisel cleaner when you shut her down.
This is the story.
My favorite part of the whole hobby.
Soldering is your favorite?
Yeah, that's why I like welding too. So that's why I like soldering, I guess.
So February 24th, Mr. Ben Fisher posted this. I just want to point out 16,000 views. That's crazy.
Got a lot of Extreme Flight stories, man. These guys are doing really well. They're putting out a lot of stuff.
I know a secret, and I can't talk about it from Extreme Flight. It does involve Jason Cole now because I forced him into the equation, and we'll talk more about that on the next broadcast.
I do know the secret too.
You don't know this? Did they email you today?
No, you told me.
No, this is a different secret, I think.
I don't know. Well, there's more than one secret here.
Yeah, I didn't tell that secret. This thing's pretty awesome now that I'm into scale stuff.
Now that you're into scale stuff sitting in your workroom.
Yeah. I am. It's all it takes is for you to go, oh, that's sexy, and bang, you're in.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, check this out. Look at the logo Matt Gunn did here on this leading image.
That was awesome.
Poor Terry. This is my favorite.
He's halfway. He's peeking out of the water. It's the Loch Ness Terry.
Bubbles dribbling up from.
We will try to be creative with our logos, but this is the award for sure. All right, I think we're nearing the end of the show, everyone.
Oh, wait, scroll up. Or down, however your mind works. That DLG, the rainbow colored thing.
This guy.
That guy. That's the Armsoar Composite Go Mini. It's like $320, and then you need $4 or $5 servos and a battery and your receiver.
Is that
so this is like the best way to get into DLGs. If you thought about it, but were like turned off by the $1,000 airplanes, this thing is for like under $400. It's only 1 meter, so it's not a full size, but it still launches up to 200 feet and flies like a 1 meter. I mean, or like a 1.5. It flies and feels like the full-size ones. It is really, really good. So I've got one ordered. They actually took pre-orders, and I got in on that, and it won't come until maybe next month. It's like $320 retail.
What's up with DLG makers making?
Oh, and you can actually get one cheaper than that. That's the carbon version is $320. It's like $2 something for the fiberglass version, and it can take a full launch. You don't have to baby it. I'm super impressed with it. I can't wait to get mine.
Sounds like it.
If anybody wants to get into the DLG scene and try it out, that's a great inexpensive way to get a good one. You don't want to end up with something like a Whippet or a
that lasts
or something that's not going to get you very long flight times off a launch. This sucker is going to get you upwards of 2 minutes in dead air off your launch. I mean, it's really nice.
We're talking about weird. There we are live.
Yeah, we're right there. I was gonna say.
Hey, we can watch our video we're currently watching. That ought to like cause a rip in the space-time continuum.
We're gonna break the internet.
Don't cross the streams, Jim.
Yeah, it's like meeting your doppelganger. We're all just like perish. This screen should turn into a multi-port. It should go straight back into infinity. Before we get out of here, and since we're looking at this, let's look at our live. So if you ever want to join us live, look what you get to do. You get to chat with us right here.
Yeah. Here's old Mean Joe holding down the fort.
Instagram just went crazy in the stock market, I heard.
Really? Luckily we're on board.
Yeah. Anything here we need to talk about?
King's Quest.
They're having whole side conversations here.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Word to your mother. Word is bond.
All right, I'm jumping out of here. I'm stopping.
Okay. Yeah, we could just sit and read the comments.
It'll be our new show.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Yeah.
Jason Cole has got a lot to do today. What do you got to do? What's next on your agenda?
Today? Well, today I might be going to Best Buy at midnight.
What are you getting?
Yeah, my son said 1 day away.
Yeah, I'm going to attempt to pick up a non-pre-ordered Nintendo Switch tonight at midnight as a walk-in customer.
There's no way.
No.
Yeah. Well, they're supposed to have them.
I can't even get the classic NES yet.
Well, they're Best Buy, Target, Walmart, and GameStops are going to have walk-in units available that they reserved from the pre-orders that you can go get by standing in line. So I'm going to go try it. We'll see.
Hey, at least you got the iPhone watch to fit right in. Right?
You can wear some FPV goggles, and maybe that would get you farther in line.
Yeah, I've got to have something to do waiting in line. I might
get on the local news.
I'm really going to make Jason Cole really mad right now. Look at this.
If anybody sees a really cool FPV axial style kind of rock crawler coming up for review, I'd like to put my name in the hat because I want an FPV truck.
Trucks are tricky.
Oh, I can get you one, Jason.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
All right.
I will.
Work that out.
We'll work that out behind the scenes, and then we'll talk about it in front of the scenes. What do we have? The sweet machine.
Yes.
But I just wanted to brag to Jason how many mice I have now, and I have one coming today. I ordered another one. It's coming today.
I got RC experts usually use trackpads just so.
Oh God, that stinking trackpad! Look at mine. Mine's the best ever. Mine looks like a horseshoe crab if you hold it from this angle, and then see that's actually a button right there. Look at that cool design.
Oh, weird.
And then you got a scroller over here. Then you got your this wheel right here, which either clicks or you press that button and it's a freewheel.
You know what you don't have on that thing though?
Tell me.
You don't have any Velcro on yours like I have on mine.
You mutilated your mouse by putting Velcro on it. What a interesting concept, but apparently it works.
Inscription, baby. Hey, we've totally jumped the RC track as usual.
That's all good.
I want to thank Jason Cole for his easy, good-looking style.
He's a good-looking chap, isn't he?
I want to thank Matt Gunn for his alpha male go-getterism.
Okay, yeah.
And I want to thank myself. Hey, I won't even talk about it. We'll talk about that next week or the next 3 weeks on the RCGroups live video hangout podcast.
I like that. I think that's a good name for it.
This has been the Ponytail Express.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing before we're out of here.
Talk to me.
It's for Mean Joe. You know what it is. Mean Joe, it's coming up. It's the Call of the Wild, man. It's the Joe Nall Call of the Wild. It's going to be the hot trigger.
Are we hot triggering still? We're not good. We can't hot trigger at Joe Nall anymore.
Yeah.
Hot trigger.
Hot trigger's a secret call.
Get your hot triggers hip.
Let me hear it,
That's all I
Jason.
got.
Hot trigger.
Trigger.
Hot trigger.
Jason, come on, man.
I can hear Joe, Mean Joe, in the distance.
Caliente triggers.
All right, we're out of here.
Bucket.
Hey, thanks everybody who joins us live and who joins us after the fact and who simply hits the subscribe button or the like button. And now we've added the next video that we're going to do. And we also have a link you can go to the site on.
Oh, yeah. Everybody point to that link. That'll be there right there.
All right.
Let me massage it a little bit.
Nice and top corner.
So
Nice and top corner.
nice. Want to touch the hiney.
You always go all the way off the map right before the video ends.
What?